All right, so let me try and explain as simply as possible how this game works. So here you got Venice set up, just like in maybe Rialto or San Marco, and it's an area control game. And so you have different regions on the board where you can see where all these black little pawns are. These are different regions. So you got Castillo, San Marco here, San Polo here. Was that Canarejo? I'm not sure. But anyway, you can see some of these places, you see these little dividing border lines. It's really just for visual effect. It's not really that important. You just need to know each city has a influence or control track, or more like an influence track, essentially. And you're going to be trying to put influence in different cities. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cities, and then you have this special area over here. And for being able to win the game, you either have to have one of your influence tokens built in every single city, or which would be 6, or you need to have 7 influence tokens built within 5 cities, or 8 influence tokens built across 4 cities. So those are the ways you win the game. So it just plays until someone meets that objective. So these are influence tokens for each city, and they're actually kept over on the side of the board here. So you would just match them up to their appropriate location. And then you also have this area here, and this area has 3 influence tokens or control tokens. I don't know what you call them, but I'll explain what they do momentarily. And so those 3 go there, and that goes there, that goes there, that goes there. All right, each player has a city card plus one of these cards for this place here. So you have essentially 7 cards in your hand, and you're going to use these cards to pick where you want to put your influence each round. Whoever has the most influence in a city is going to be given a special privilege of putting influence into that city, and whoever has the second most influence in that city will have also be able to place influence into the city, but just at a lesser level. All right, so each person has these cards to determine where they're going to put their influence. And then in addition to that, there are 2 sets of cards down here. One set is always face up, and then the other set is always face down at the start of a round. And what this does is it shows which cities will be looked at first. So this will be the first city to see who has the most influence in this city, and then this one, and then this one, and so on and so forth. And then what you have is how much influence, or how badly do you want to put influence in a city. And you have these different markers. You're going to be able to put influence from anywhere from essentially 0 to 4 cities. So you have 7 markers that you could divide up. You could put all 7 in one city, or you could put some in, split it up between 2 cities, or between 3 cities, or between 4 cities. These are your control markers that I mentioned, and these little smaller tokens here is what you need to build up influence. So, for example, in this city here, if I was able to eventually get 3 of these little pieces of influence here, I would be able to exchange them out and put in a permanent influence token here. And the reason I would get to do it at 3 is because the number's 3 here. Once somebody has 3 there, the next person to put influence in here needs to have 4 of these houses there. And then if someone does that, the next person needs 5, then 6, then 7. So before or at the start of a round, what someone is going to do, what each person is going to do, is you're going to look at your cards and decide what cities do you want to try and get influence in. So let's say I wanted to get influence in this city here, which is right there. I would put this card down, and then I would choose how much influence do I want to put in there. So let's say I want to put in 5. And so I put this on this card, and I put it in that city. Or actually, I don't put it in the city yet. Oh, is it? I have it. Okay, that's it. I believe it's, you just have your card and you put, yeah, that's what it is. Everybody puts a card down and puts influence tokens on it. I believe this is how it works. And then once everybody has their influence tokens on top of their card, I believe what happens is everybody reveals at the same time what card they have, and you stick those influence tokens in that city. And then you'll do that a second time for another one. So here I could pick any card I want. If I wanted to pick this one, which is the special city up here, which I'll explain what that does in a minute, I could, maybe I want to put, I don't know, 5 up there also. And so when we reveal, I will have these up there and so on and so forth. And let's say I put 1 here and I put 2 here. All right, so what's going to happen is this city is going to be revealed, and people would turn over their tokens, right? So I don't have any there, so I'll skip that city. But once this is revealed, like everyone turns over their tokens, you need to determine influence. This comes off the board, and you flip over this card, which lets you know in the next round, San Marco is going to be the first city that you're allowed to fight for influence in. And that becomes strategically important, which hopefully I'll be able to get to. So here, there's this card here, and that is this city up there. So everybody in here would turn over their tokens. I have 2 influence. Let's just say somebody had more than me, but I came in second. I would be able to put in 1 little house here, and my opponent would be able, whoever has the most influence gets to put in 2 houses. All right, and then you just go to the next one, San Marco. So let's go here, and I turn this over, and I actually was just faking out. I don't really have any influence there, so there's nothing. And so again, so we've done 2. That was the 3rd city. So these are slowly being revealed. So let's just move on to, I don't know, let's just say we're at this city here, and we're going to reveal this one. And so we go up here, and let's just say I put in 5 influence, and let's say that was more than anybody else. And there would be other tokens here for the other people. All right, if you win influence of a city, like I said, you're able to put in 2 of your house tokens, except on this one, you don't put house tokens in here. It just allows you to move tokens around on the board. But the other thing you get, if you place the most influence in any region, whether it's this region or this region or this region, whatever, each region has an influence marker. And this region has 3 influence markers. And what you're able to do is, if you have the most power, you can either take one of these influence markers of the appropriate place, and you can take one of these hollowed out rings and you put it on the influence marker to show that this is under your control. And then you can place this in any city, setting up influence, like an influence point. So not only could on the next turn I put in, like these 2 tokens face down, but that would be 1, 2, 3 pieces of influence. And I could put as many of these in this city that I control that I want, except for the San Marco one. If I had control of the San Marco influence person, I couldn't put it in its city. But any other city I could put here. So what this is going to mean is, if I choose to place this in a city, that's where I might want to look at, well, what cities are coming up, because I currently have control of this influence marker, right? Because I won this city. However, this city is going to be revealed, or change ownership, has the potential to change ownership on the second round of or second turn of the next round. So if I were to place this in, let's say, this city, and it had already been decided in the current round, I could lose my influence, all right, before it gets there, because if someone takes control of this city, then I lose my marker, and this comes off and it goes to somebody else. Additionally, I could choose to not take the influence marker, and instead I could relocate one of my influence. So for example, if I had, where is it, this place? So let's say we turned over in my 5-1 and I took influence of this token here. I could either choose to take influence of this and put this in another city, like I could put it here for a future turn, or instead of taking over this, I could move a influence house into this region, or if I already have houses in this region, I can move one out of the region. So if you want to move into the region, move houses into the region, you would have to, if you win the city, you get to add new houses to the region. So if I had 1, I would have been able to add 2 new houses here. And if I had 3, then I would be able to put a marker on 3. But if 3 was there, all right, and I had 3 houses here and there was already, number 3 was occupied, and I won this region, instead of taking this influence marker that I could place in another city, I could instead move one of these out of this region to any other region on the board, or I could move one into the region. And by moving one into the region, that would give me 4. These would come off the board and I would be able to put my marker there. And so like I said, you're just trying to get little bits of influence into a city until you have enough of these little pieces of influence in a city to match the next, whichever number is currently showing available. Here it would be 3, there it would be 5. And then if you're able to get one of these in each region, you're going to win the game. Or, like I said already, if you get, was it like 7 of these in 5 regions, you win the game. Or if you get 8 of these in 4 regions, you win the game. So it's just essentially a little area control game. It's actually pretty interesting. This may not be the best demonstration of how it works, but if you like area control games, if you've played something like Rialto that uses the same city, you might enjoy this as well.